Steamboat coming, steamboat coming, steamboat coming, black smoke fills the sky. Doors swing open, the works come a-running, steamboat coming to town. Boys come whooping and the dogs come a-barking, steamboat coming to town. Horses and carts rumble over cobblestone, steamboat coming to town. Lazy loafer, hurry, run along, steamboat coming to town. She's long and slim, sleek and pretty, sailing down the river just like a cloud. Fire in a smokestack lights up the sky. She's so loud, all the babies cry. Steamboat coming, steamboat coming, steamboat coming, black smoke fills the sky. That's a song I will never get tired of. I grew up here on the banks of the Illinois River. And I remember when I was a child, when the steamboat would come to town, why, even before you saw the boat come round the bend, the captain, he knew this river like the back of his hand. He knew it was coming up on a town. He'd give a shout down through the brass tube to the boiler. And one of the roustabouts would butter a few logs, meaning they smeared him with some black tar, so it'd burn a little blacker. And that black smoke was like a flag. You could see it before you saw the boat come round the bend. And maybe you'd give a shout to the calliope, and they'd fire up one of them old songs. You know the kind of song I'm talking about? The kind of song that makes you want to sing out. The kind of song that makes you want to dance or shed a tear like She's Forever Blowing Bubbles. And you'd hear that song wafted on the wind a mile or more away. You'd see that black smoke before you saw the boat come round the bend, and a shout would come up from the wharf. Steamboat coming, steamboat coming, steamboat coming, black smoke fills the sky. And whatever you were doing, everybody ran down to the wharf. Why, even the preacher, he learned the hard way. One time in the middle of a love fest, in the middle of a wedding, just as the groom is about to say I do, that shout come up, the church emptied out and had to finish the wedding down on the wharf. Or maybe it was a groom getting cold feet. But the bride, she caught him and made him say his I do's. When that shout come up, everybody went down to the river except the sheriff. He'd open shop. Because these roustabouts, these big burly men, they love to drink and fight and cuss, and seemed like every time Steamboat came to town, somebody would end up in the slammer and have to sleep it off. Oh, and the shopkeepers, they would open shop. Because these packet boats, they'd carry 100 or 200 passengers from St. Louis or Peoria or maybe all the way from New Orleans. And these passengers would come into town and they would go shopping, and those businesses would do more business in an afternoon than they would the rest of the week. And these tourists would be like, look here, this is probably made right here in Henry, Illinois. Little they know the last steamboat brought those goods to town. Tourism is nothing new. And how have you been on board on them old boats? They often had crystal chandeliers, Persian carpets. They had an upright bass or banjo or piano. And sometimes the band would tumble out in the street, and the whole town of Henry, Illinois would be dancing in the street. It was like the 4th of July and New Year's Eve all rolled in together. Sleepy little town of Henry, Illinois never saw so much excitement. But you better stay out of the way of them roustabouts. These big burly men would load and unload 2 tons of freight in a matter of moments. First, they would unload all the things that the shopkeepers had ordered. And then horses and carts rumbling over cobblestone with barrels of potatoes, barrels of wheat, hogs still on the hoof. Of course, you take your pork to market while the pigs are still alive. The pigs are fresher that way. And the captain, he always gave them a fair price. Knowing whatever he paid, he'd get twice as much when he got to market. And who knows? Apples grown right here in Illinois, sold to one of them steamboat captains, could sail down the Illinois, down the Mississippi to New Orleans, be loaded on one of them ocean-going boats, and sail across the Atlantic. And who knows? An apple grown right here in Illinois could be served on a king's table in Paris or London. These river boats were our connection to the world. But when that first bell rang, that was a warning. It meant the roustabouts were done their work. And townsfolk, we should get off, and tourists should get back on. Because when that second bell rang, that meant the boat was gone. And it seemed like every time that second bell rang, some townsfolk could still be on board the boat. They'd go running out the stage, sploosh, into the muddy river. And it seemed like every time that second bell rang, there'd still be some tourists in town, and the boat would be gone. They'd have to pay one of us to row them back out. Seemed like I could always earn a few pennies, and that's back when a few pennies counted for something. But when that steamboat left, the whole town would be standing on the wharf, waving and smiling. Our hearts a little richer, our pockets a little thicker. Why, even when the people are tiny little ants off in the distance, we're still waving and smiling. For it felt as though when that steamboat left, sleepy little town of Henry, Illinois would roll over and pull up the blankets. Now, some folks say it was long time ago. Some folks say maybe it never really happened. Maybe it's all just some nostalgic dream. But I know it was real because I was there. And rumor has it, some of these steamboats are making a comeback. While the Belle of Louisville still sails the Ohio, the Delta Queen might be back on the water soon. And you know and I know, the Spirit of Peoria still sails the Illinois. So maybe sometime you'll head down to the wharf. Maybe one of you will be the one who sees that black smoke. Maybe one of you will be the one who hears that shout. Steamboat coming, steamboat coming, steamboat coming, black smoke fills the sky. Captain is as calm as a kitten sleeping, steamboat coming to town. Everybody else is running or leaping, steamboat coming to town. Load and unload 2 tons of freight, steamboat coming to town. Roustabout driven by a cussing mate, steamboat coming to town. She's long and slim, sleek and pretty, sailing down the river just like a cloud. Fire in a smokestack, lights up the sky, she's so loud all the babies cry. Steamboat coming, steamboat coming, steamboat coming, black smoke fills the sky.